I am your host, Nizzy, and just wanted to drop a little bit of breaking news in this video for you guys. I just had an update on the Joel Embiid injury. Just came in about half hour ago that the MRI came back and he does have a slight tear in his meniscus in his right knee. So for you Sixers fans out there, man, this is devastating news. He won't be playing in tonight's game, Game 5 against the Wizards. This would be huge if the Sixers can close this one out. The last thing you want is giving the Washington Wizards some hope to come back in this series, especially because I highly doubt that Joel Embiid will be able to play again in this series. And he might not even be available for every game in the next series as well. With that slight meniscus tear, I would assume they're not going to do any surgery on it until after the season is over. So whenever that case may be, depending on how long the Sixers last. But there's no way he's going to be at 100% for the rest of the playoffs now. It's probably going to take him a week or two just to kind of get back to somewhat of a normality before he can play again. So he probably will not be available again in this series, which just opens up a huge window for the Wizards to come back. Obviously, Brad Beal and Russell Westbrook are two amazing talents that have all the capability in the world to lead their team to a couple victories here, especially with the Sixers missing Joel Embiid, who is their staple at center there. Good defense, good defensive player. And as well can just get you buckets from anywhere on the floor. So that's really going to hinder their offense, I believe. You're going to need guys like Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris and Seth Curry to be stepping up big time. If those guys don't have outstanding performances, I could see this getting pushed to a 7-game series very quickly here. So be interesting to see what happens, you guys. Devastating news for you Sixers fans out there. Once again, looks like your championship aspirations are down the drain. I mean, even if he does get a little bit healthy here, there's no way Joel Embiid's going to be at 100% for the rest of the playoffs. Most likely, I would assume it's not a huge tear in his meniscus. It's not as serious as an ACL injury or anything like that. But it is something that is most likely going to require a small, probably arthroscopic surgery in the offseason. And once again, just another injury added to the list for Joel Embiid. I mean, I don't know when the guy has ever played a season where he hasn't had injuries. It's been a rough career for the guy. He just can't stay healthy. It's going to hinder his opportunity for Hall of Fame and things like that. May never be able to win a championship just because he doesn't have that longevity to be able to last through the entire season as well as grind it out through a tough playoff stretch. And this has happened every single year for Philly, right? For Philly fans, you guys know what it's like to have this guy on your team. Great talent when he's healthy and on the floor, but you don't get him for all the time. You can only play about 70% of the games because he's always dealing with little injuries or tearing stuff or whatever the case may be. It's always something with Joel Embiid. And unfortunately, Ben Simmons is not that pure scorer point guard that you guys need to carry the load when Joel's out. He really relies on Joel Embiid's shooting stroke because Ben Simmons can't shoot anything, as we all know. He hardly takes jump shots, doesn't shoot three-pointers, doesn't really score a lot in general, right? He doesn't average like 20-some points a game or anything like that. He can get lots of triple-doubles and stuff for you, but when you need those buckets to be dropping, he's not the guy that can do it for you. And by having Joel Embiid out, that's going to definitely hurt their opportunity here to make a big run in the playoffs. I would say Philly's championship aspirations are over with this injury. Even if Joel Embiid ends up coming back and playing, he's just not going to be at 100%. There's no way he can get back to 100% in this playoffs. It's just not possible with a torn meniscus. Even though it's a slight tear, it's still something that's going to require surgery most likely. So very unfortunate news for all you Philly fans out there. I'm a Toronto Raptor fan, so my hopes and dreams of a championship were already crushed long ago when we had an abysmal season. So not much to talk about with those guys, but very unfortunate for the Sixers, especially finishing in first place in the East this year. You really thought they would have that opportunity to make a good run, barring no injuries. And of course, what happens again, the classic Joel Embiid injury pops up in the playoffs. So super unfortunate news here for Philly fans. This could change the entire perspective on what happens in this series. This just gives a window of opportunity for the Wizards to come back into it and maybe push it to Game 6 or Game 7. So we'll have to see what happens, you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. You think Joel Embiid's going to be able to make a comeback this series, or you think he's going to be missing some time with that meniscus tear? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. But anyways, you guys, just appreciate you watching this video. And once again, this is Nizzy with Nizzy Sports Chat, signing off.